Did you ever wonder what the Feast of Tabernacles was like in ancient Jerusalem? Let's explore this together. Shalom, my friends. This is the Kiva Girls with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. The Feast of Tabernacles, known as the holiday of Sukkot in the Torah, was an incredible, joyous, celebratory time in ancient Israel. It is also today in modern Israel and around the world in modern Jewish communities, but it was unique and a bit different in ancient Israel. And specifically in ancient Israel, and specifically at the time that the temple stood, both the first and second temples. We know that in Judaism there are three pilgrimage festivals. There's Passover, there's Shavuot, and there's Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles. And these three times were times when Jews from around the country of Israel, even outside of Israel, if that's where they lived, were commanded to come to Jerusalem and to show up, to be there and be part of the festivities, be part of the rituals, be part of the sacrifices, and to be seen and to see what was going on. And it was a really tremendous time. Right? Passover is a week, Shavuot is just one day, and Sukkot is an entire week. So they were there for the entire week. They probably got there a couple days early to prepare. They probably stayed a couple days afterwards. And then it might have taken them a week, maybe even 2 weeks to actually journey to Jerusalem. So we're talking about a very serious time commitment for these three pilgrimage festivals. And once they did come to Sukkot, this was the peak of the pilgrimage festival cycle, right? Because each of these holidays is connected to one of the aspects of the agricultural cycle here in the land of Israel. And Sukkot specifically is the harvest festival. It was the time of gathering in the crops from the field. And it was a time of blessing and abundance. And so what do the ancient Israelites do during their harvest festival at a time of incredible abundance? They build these small little booths, right? These tabernacles, these small little booths to live in as commanded by the Torah. In order to live a very simple life for an entire week, in order to show gratitude and recognize and understand where all of their abundance comes from above. It was an amazing time. Of all the holidays in the Torah, of all the holidays in the Jewish cycle of holidays, Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, was the absolute happiest, most joyous of all of them. It's called Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy, specifically because one, on a physical level, it is a time of bringing in the crops, and there is great abundance, and all those months of working on the out in the field are coming to fruition, and also spiritually. It's after Rosh Hashanah, it's after Yom Kippur, it's after all this deep, meaningful spiritual work, right? And repentance and working on oneself. And then we get Sukkot, which is directly part of, kind of like the conclusion of this intense spiritual, introspective time. And it's a time to sit in the sukkah, be with family, be with friends, relax a little bit, enjoy and celebrate, right? There's an idea that one should sit in their sukkah as much as possible, whether they're reading a book, whether they're having their meal, or even if they're sleeping, right? And all of this was done in ancient Israel, all around the country, but specifically in ancient Jerusalem at the time of the temple, right? Special sacrifices were brought in the temple for Sukkot. And something very, very unique and interesting about Sukkot is that there was a different number of sacrifices brought each day of Sukkot, the 7 days of Sukkot. And when we add them all up, we get to the number of 70. And in Judaism, 70 is a very important number because it is equal to the number of ancient nations that existed back in those days. Which meant that the Jews, the Israelites, were bringing the sacrifices on Sukkot, weren't only bringing these sacrifices, were not only praying for themselves that there be blessing for them for in this new year and that they should have a good year. They were praying for all of the world. These sacrifices represented prayers for the entire world, which makes Sukkot a unique holiday in that aspect. Excuse me, that this very strong universal aspect to the holiday. The last thing I want to share about what was going on in ancient Jerusalem at the time of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, is that just like today, Jews would take the lulav and the etrog, the four species, right? And they would wave them in all the different directions. And it was a sight to see in the temple. Thousands and thousands of Jews, right, walking around the Mizbeach, the altar, with their lulav and etrog and their four species, and doing this ritual every single day, going around the Mizbeach, the altar, one time, and on the seventh day of Sukkot, they go around 7 times. It reminds you of a story in the Bible, right? The story of Jericho. This is pretty much what it's based on in a spiritual way. And in addition to that, they would wave the four species, the lulav and the etrog, and the other two species in all the different directions, right? As a form of prayer, as a way to say, God, let us be blessed this year in all different ways, in all different directions, again, in the entire world. And this is a little bit of an insight into Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, how we're celebrated in ancient Israel, specifically in ancient Jerusalem. All the best and be well.